digital empire? It sounds like a lot. So we need to really dig into the details, the actual mechanics.
Absolutely, and getting that context right is it's vital here, because if you look at the digital world right now, I mean, things are changing incredibly fast. The sources we looked at, they make it really clear. Competition today isn't just about having a slightly better app; it's about the whole infrastructure. Seems like only companies that are innovating with, deeply integrated cutting-edge tech, especially AI, are really going to stick around and grow. And on passive technologies, they claim the OES is set to do way more than just grow. They actually want to redefine how individuals and businesses operate online by, well, fixing some pretty big underlying problems.
Exactly. And the key thing we need to grasp right from the start is just the sheer scope and the integration aspect. Our sources really hammer this point home. This isn't just a new video app over here and a digital wallet over there. No, it's pitched as a single unified system. It combines your work tools, how you earn, communications, selling stuff, growing reach, all on one platform. The core problem it's aiming to solve is that fragmented feeling we all have online, right? And the security risks that come with it. Juggling all those different platforms, different logins, paying more and more subscriptions just to get basic stuff done.
Yeah, the sources actually call that fragmentation the digital tax. It's a good way to put it.
Right.
Every time you switch between apps, you lose a bit of efficiency, you open yourself up to maybe another security vulnerability, and yeah, you pay another fee. The OES vision basically is to get rid of that tax altogether, put everything under one supposedly very secure roof.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning, the vision. I mean, whenever you talk about something this massive, this all-encompassing, you have to look at the person driving it, and that's Mufareh. So what's the core idea? What's the philosophy pushing this whole thing forward? And importantly, how does that philosophy supposedly give it an edge in the market?
Well, the sources are pretty explicit about Mufareh's goal. They frame it as technology should serve humanity, not, the other way around. And they insist this isn't just some marketing fluff. It's supposedly the actual logic behind how the OES is designed. The core intent seems focused on empowering ordinary people and smaller businesses, giving them access to powerful tools that are simpler, more streamlined, and this is key, automatically optimized using AI. It's about creating, or trying to create, real financial opportunities and sustainable income, especially for individuals and smaller players globally.
Okay, and that connects directly to the problems it's trying to fix, right? The pain points in the current system. When you look at the big tech companies now, the sources suggest they lack an ecosystem with a heart. What does that mean in practice? What's the OES specifically aiming to do differently compared to, say, Google or Meta?
It really digs into issues of integrity, inclusivity, and security, especially around how our data is used or maybe misused. The way things work now often involves breaking up user data, which leads to that targeted feeling, sometimes exploitation, lots of fraud, data theft. These problems are arguably worse because everything's so spread out, so fragmented. The courses state very clearly that the OES is designed specifically to fight these issues. How? By being a single, trusted place where the user's well-being is supposedly the priority, not just selling ads based on their data.
But hold on, building a centralized digital empire that immediately raises flags, right? Centralization usually means control. How does this humanity-first idea actually translate into the ODS architecture? How do they avoid just becoming another big, controlling walled garden?
That's a fair question. And the answer, according to the sources, lies in the architectural design itself. They highlight three main principles. First is automation and pervasive AI. So yes, automation for the boring, repetitive stuff. We expect that. But it's the AI making decisions across all the integrated tools from customer service with OChat to sales tracking in OTracker that's supposed to really boost efficiency. The claim is the AI learns from the whole ecosystem, making every single tool smarter over time. Second, there's this concept they call a zero competition space.
Okay, that sounds a bit like marketing steak, doesn't it? Zero competition.
It does sound like it initially, yeah. The sources define it more kind of collaborative economic model that's built into how affiliates and commissions work. So instead of everyone fighting tooth and nail for the same customers or the same slice of the market, the idea is that member success is linked. It's mutually beneficial. When the whole ecosystem grows, every member who's participating supposedly gets a share of that growth.
I still need to push back on that a bit. Zero competition. Even with shared incentives, resources aren't infinite. How does the OES structure actually make it feel non-competitive? Is it just a really clever shared growth plan? Or is there some mechanism, maybe legal or economic, that structurally removes the competition?
It seems to function through a very broad reward system that's tied to the global revenue of the platform. So yes, individual users might compete, say, to sell products on OShop, that's normal. But the sources stress that the potentially bigger reward comes from the growth of the entire platform membership, the whole ecosystem. And they repeatedly claim the platform uses automated tools to bring customers to the users, which helps level the playing field. So the focus kind of shifts, or is meant to shift, from just aggressive individual marketing to more collaborative expansion of the whole system.
Okay, so maybe less zero competition and more
Yeah.
like highly incentivized collaboration backed by automated marketing, which, I mean, that's still a huge claim in itself. What's the third principle holding the structure up?
The third one is the trust infrastructure. This is absolutely critical. The whole system is apparently built to level the playing field, especially for entrepreneurs, by creating a trusted global network where every user is verified. This happens through a specific tool called O-Verify. By getting rid of anonymity and making sure everyone's identity is checked, the sources claim they basically eliminate most of the ways fraudsters and bad actors can operate. The goal is to make commerce and networking safe right from the very first interaction.
All right, let's get into the real nuts and bolts now. Our sources lay out these 8 major products, and crucially, they're supposed to be seamlessly integrated. The success of this whole empire idea really hinges on whether these 8 pillars actually work as advertised, especially together. So let's unpack the complexity and the competitive claims for each one.
Yeah, this is where the magnificence, as they call it, is really defined. The challenge, the technical challenge is huge. Getting things like video conferencing, e-commerce, banking, AI analytics, all to work perfectly together in one proprietary system. That's incredibly difficult. Hashtag A. Communication and social connectivity.
Let's start with communication, where most businesses live day to day. We've got OConnect, the communication revolution. The sources position this squarely against the big players, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. What are the specific technical hurdles it needs to overcome to even match their stability and, low latency on a global scale? That's the baseline, isn't it?
That is absolutely the core question. Global stability, low latency. That's table stakes for video conferencing now. OConnect's claim to differentiation, according to what we've read, comes down to 3 main AI features that are meant to be very active, not just add-ons.
Okay, which are?
First, AI-driven translations. Real-time, supporting multiple languages, and apparently built into the core, not just a bolt-on plugin. Second, advanced noise cancellation. Supposedly goes beyond usual filters and actively adapts to whatever background noise is happening.
Yeah.
But the one that really jumps out is real-time engagement analytics.
Explain that analytics part more. How is that supposed to work? What's it analyzing?
So OConnect apparently doesn't just track who showed up. The sources suggest the AI analyzes things like nonverbal cues, maybe attention levels, participation rates, focus drift, stuff like that. And it generates these engagement scores for everyone during the meeting. Then this data gets fed instantly into another tool, O-Tracker. Now imagine you're running a big virtual training or a sales pitch.
Okay.
This could give you immediate actionable feedback on how well you're doing, how engaged people are. That kind of insight is usually reserved for really high-end specialized event platforms.
Wow, okay. That is a major potential differentiator. If the tech can handle it, the processing power needed for all that simultaneously for potentially thousands of users is immense. The claimed impact, then, is that businesses could run their entire virtual office just using the OES, saving a lot on costs.
Precisely. If you unify the communication and the analytics and other tools, you potentially eliminate the need for all those expensive, separate, third-party subscriptions.
Okay, next up, moving from video calls to messaging. We have OPAL, the social hub, described as a secure messenger, sort of like WhatsApp. But the big focus here is on privacy, security, and crucially, zero ads.
Yeah, that zero ad promise is really key. It signals that Opal's business model is fundamentally different from platforms like WhatsApp, right? Which is owned by Meta and deeply tied into advertising. Opal's focus, they claim, is purely on secure, encrypted communication.
And the integration is critical here too, presumably.
Absolutely. It bundles voice, video, and text messaging, sure. But the important part is how it supposedly connects seamlessly with OConnect, making it easy to start a meeting from a chat, and also with OChat for things like customer support integration. The impact they're aiming for here is building a safer digital community. Because everyone is verified via O-Verify, you theoretically know who you're talking to. And because the ad-free model, you supposedly know your conversations aren't being scanned to sell you stuff. #TagB, finance, commerce, and trust infrastructure. All right, this next group of tools. This is really the economic engine of the whole OES. It goes beyond just providing digital tools. It's about creating a whole self-contained financial and commercial environment.
Let's kick off with O-Wallet, financial freedom, defined as a secure AI-powered digital wallet, mainly for managing earnings from within the system. But for a global user base, especially those founders they talk about, the functionality needs to be absolutely top-notch, right? Global payments are complex.
Oh, completely. And the sources detail its functionality pretty clearly. It's things like instant withdrawals, transfers between users, and currency conversions. For a worldwide community, particularly affiliates and founders earning commissions, the main attraction is bypassing the usual friction of traditional banking. The delays, the high fees, especially for cross-border stuff, that's the core value proposition.
And its role seems unique within the ecosystem's financial model, too. It's not just a wallet, it's the one that facilitates commission payouts directly from OnPassive's own revenue streams. That really makes it the financial backbone for the whole operation, doesn't it?
It does. And this is where they say the AI integration comes in again. The AI within O-Wallet supposedly tracks commission earnings constantly, ensuring calculations are real-time and transparent even if you have multiple income streams coming in. Security is obviously paramount. They talk about multi-layer security, biometrics possibly, and, crucially, that deep integration with O-Verify. You apparently can't even use O-Wallet unless your identity is verified through O-Verify. This aims to create a kind of closed-loop financial system where, theoretically, transparency and security are pushed to the maximum.
Okay, the financial impact managing money globally without huge fees, that sounds like real empowerment. But it immediately brings up the massive challenge of regulation. You're essentially acting as a global payment processor. How did the sources suggest the OES is tackling compliance across dozens, maybe hundreds of different international financial rules?
Yeah, the sources are a bit light on the super specific regulatory details for each country. That's often the case in pre-launch materials. But they consistently point to the global OKYC system, O-Verify, as their strategic compliance tool. The argument seems to be, by verifying every single user's identity globally to a high standard, they establish a strong foundation for regulatory trust. They position themselves as a system that proactively fights things like money laundering and fraud because of this built-in proprietary ID system.
Right. Let's transition directly to that foundation then, O-Verify, the trust builder. Why is this global OKYC on-passive, know your customer system considered so essential? And how does it plan to verify identity more effectively than, say, established banks or even government systems in some cases?
Well, Verify is presented as the absolute linchpin. It's what allows them to make that claim of security without compromise. Its core purpose is simple but huge. Verify the identity of every single person using the ecosystem. Why? To protect against fraud, scams, fake accounts, duplicate accounts, basically. All the stuff that plagues the relatively anonymous internet.
But hold on, removing anonymity online, that raises its own set of massive challenges, right? Logistically, ethically. People value privacy. What level of identity verification are we actually talking about here? Is it just email or something much deeper?
We're talking potentially quite deep integration with government IDs, maybe biometrics. The goal seems to be creating a single, verified, essentially unchangeable digital ID for each person within the OnPassive ecosystem. The sources really stress that this is how they eliminate the risk of bad actors poisoning the well, so to speak. From a business perspective, this means every customer you interact with via OConnect or who buys from your O-Shop is supposedly a real verified individual. That level of guaranteed identity, if they can achieve it reliably and ethically, would fundamentally change the game for digital trust. And if O-Verify provides that trust layer, then O-Shop, the global marketplace, is the commerce platform built right on top of it.
Okay, O-Shop, the unified e-commerce platform for buying and selling pretty much anything, physical goods, digital services. The big claim is that it makes selling globally super simple. How do its integrated features supposedly beat what's already out there, like Shopify or Amazon Marketplace?
The main pitch for O-Shop seems to be avoiding the usual headaches of cobbling different tools together. It apparently has its own built-in marketing tools. So the idea is you don't necessarily need separate Google Ads or Facebook campaigns managed elsewhere. It also includes CRM customer relationship management features built in, and critically, it integrates directly with O-Wallet for instant payments and with O-Tracker for detailed sales analytics.
So the impact they're aiming for is essentially democratizing global e-commerce. By providing all the tools of business, even a small one, needs marketing, sales, analytics, payments, all prepackaged and ready to go. So small businesses could potentially go global instantly, without the usual complexity, external fees, and technical setup nightmares.
That's exactly the pitch. removing those barriers to entry for global commerce. Hashtag density. Automation, security, and analytics.
All right, moving on to operational efficiency. We've got OChat, AI-powered support. Described as a smart chatbot, a virtual assistant for businesses. We've seen tons of chatbots lately, some good, some not so good. What makes OChat supposedly different?
Well, most chatbots you encounter are pretty basic, right? They follow fixed scripts. If you ask something unexpected, they just break. OChat, according to the sources, is designed as a learning system. Its functionality is meant to include actively learning from interactions and adapting to customer behavior patterns over time. So it identifies common questions, understands nuances in how people ask things, supports multiple languages, and provides instant responses that should theoretically get better and more relevant with every conversation it has.
That sounds like it would need a massive amount of training data. Is the learning just within the one business using it, or does it tap into intelligence from the whole OES network?
The sources suggest the intelligence is aggregated from across the entire ecosystem, but the application, the specific answer it gives, are tailored to the individual business. So the idea is that every business using OChat benefits from the collective learning the patterns, the effective responses from the whole on-passive network. This could potentially reduce the long training time usually needed for sophisticated enterprise chatbots. The impact: giving businesses potentially very good 24/7 support, which could significantly cut down the need for large human customer service teams and the associated costs.
Oh, wait, now for a really crucial piece. Operational security. Virtual. Secure digital access. How does this actually protect the user? What does it do beyond just standard encryption, which lots of services offer?
Virtual sounds like it acts as the main security gatekeeper for the entire ecosystem. Think of it like a centralized single sign-on or SSO layer. Its job is to protect all your logins and data using advanced encryption methods. By funneling access to all 8 OES tools through this single, verified, thanks to O-Verify, and heavily encrypted gateway, the aim is to eliminate the common risks. Things like phishing attacks or account hijacking that happen when people are trying to manage dozens of different logins across insecure sites. Right? Think of it like a super secure front door for your entire digital office. O-Verify checks your ID to let you approach the door, and O-Virtual is the unbreakable lock on that door. Once authenticated, O-Virtual ensures that everything you do across the whole platform is protected. The benefit for users is huge, potentially. No more juggling countless passwords, no more worrying as much about breaches happening at one of 50 different vendors you use.
Got it. And finally, the intelligence pillar, O-Tracker. Data-driven growth. This is positioned as an analytics tool on par with enterprise systems. How does its functionality really compare to something dominant like, say, Google Analytics? And how does this AI recommendation engine actually work?
So O-Tracker does the basics. Tracks website visitors, conversions, customer behavior, standard stuff you'd expect from an analytics tool. But the claimed competitive edge comes from its deep integration. It pulls data not just from website visits, but also directly from O-Shop sales and even O-Connect engagement metrics. This provides, or aims to provide, a truly unified view across all your marketing, sales, and communication efforts within the OES.
And the AI recommendations, what does that look like in practice?
The sources claim the AI uses predictive modeling based on that integrated data. So for example, if O-Tracker notices that customers on O-Shop who also attended a certain type of O-Connect webinar convert 30% better, the AI would then supposedly recommend specific actions, maybe targeted email campaigns using on-passives tools, or specific prompts for O-Chat to try and replicate that success with other customer segments. The big deal here is granting small businesses access to that kind of sophisticated predictive analytics, apparently at no extra cost, and making the insights immediately actionable within the same ecosystem. Okay, so we've looked at the individual pieces, the 8 pillars. Now we need to pull back and synthesize what the sources say are the 5 key factors that supposedly elevate the OES from just a collection of decent tools into this magnificent empire they keep talking about.
Right. Let's start with maybe the most technically challenging one. One, total integration. This isn't just about having all the apps on one dashboard. It's about the deep system architecture, how they actually talk to each other. How do the sources address the sheer difficulty of building a central database, a unified front end that can handle all these incredibly different functions, video, finance, e-commerce, without constant compatibility nightmares? That's where integrations usually fail.
That's a key point.